Hey everybody, glad to be with you today. It's World AIDS Day, actually, December 1st, as I sit speaking to you. And there are events planned across the city and indeed across the country and around the world. So please do make sure to mark this day. It's a really important one. And it's important to continue to bring awareness around the levels of HIV infection. Right now, in fact, our city is making decisions to cut HIV services to marginalized peoples in this city, and that's what I want to talk to you today about. The cuts to HIV prevention and support services, as well as proposed cuts to many services and programs that Torontonians depend on very, very much. These cuts are being proposed by Mayor Ford, Mike Delgrande, the budget chief, and other allies of his on City Council, right-wing allies. There are many on City Council that are also organizing to fight back against these cuts. It's really encouraging to see, in fact, that the numbers of councillors willing to support the mayor in his efforts to gut the city of the programs and services that we have come to count on and that make the city a really good one. It's really important and heartening to notice that many councillors are organizing against that. And what I wanted to talk to you today about was the kinds of things that we can do as citizens and as residents of this city to also voice our opinions, our feelings, and our recommendations to City Council. So we have some opportunities to do that coming up that I want to tell you about. But first, let's revisit these cuts. Maybe you've been watching some of this in the mainstream media. You know that since this whole exercise of cutting programs and services started with the KPMG report, a consultation report, that looked at all of the different expenses and services that the city provides. Since then, the mayor and his right-wing allies have been going on about the city having a $754, I believe, $million deficit, that we were going to be short millions and millions of dollars of funds, that it would be necessary to cut every city department by at least 10%. This is the line that we've been given by the mayor. In fact, we found out since this, and it's really important to note that the mainstream media has been towing the line and dutifully reporting the $754 million figure as if it was the truth. In fact, what we know now is that figure was never the truth. We were never looking at needing to save over $700 million on the city budget. In fact, in 2011, once again, as we often do, we're going to have a surplus in our budget. We're going to have almost $140 million left over from this budget unspent. Instead of putting that money, all of that money, into next year's budget, the 2012 budget, which would be the smart thing to do, and if he were to do that, the mayor, in fact, would not have to cut. There would be almost nothing that would have to be cut. We'd be able to maintain the services and programs. Of course, we always want to look at delivering services and programs well, efficiently. We don't want to waste money, obviously, when it's needed for people to support them and their families. But at the same time, when we need to understand that it takes workers to deliver these services and programs. It takes bodies there to answer the phone. It takes people that are at City Hall and in the services around the city who are ready to respond and deliver those programs. So cuts are going to hurt us, and they are proving to be very, very unnecessary. All the mayor would have to do is to take the surplus that is left over from 2011, put that into next year's budget. All he would have to do is to reintroduce the vehicle registration tax, which he foolishly canceled as soon as he became mayor, another at least $60 million back into the budget. All he would have to do is raise property taxes by a very small amount, 1%, 1.5% each year, and that money would go back into our budget, and that would allow us to continue to deliver TTC services, more buses, more timely and more often to serve people in very underserved parts of this city. We would be able to keep our daycares and our subsidized spots open and be able to adjust daycares. Daycares right now are having to adjust a lot because of full-day kindergarten, but it's possible with support and with proper funding for our daycares that are being underused right now to be adjusted and adapted so that they could serve after-school care, more infants and toddlers, etc. So it's quite possible with proper prudent planning, with consultation with programs and services, with City Council working hand in hand with the workers of this city, rather than going on the attack as they have been against the workers of this city, it is quite possible for us to deliver both a balanced budget and a budget that meets the needs of all Torontonians. Instead, what we're faced with is crisis response type of a response from City Council. We have the mayor running around as if the sky is falling. We have people acting like we are in some kind of crisis that actually doesn't exist. And folks, it's really important for us to understand that this mayor has always had the agenda of cutting good paying jobs. This mayor has always had the agenda of selling publicly owned assets to the private sector. This mayor is a businessman. He is a football coach. He is not a mayor of the people, and he has never had an agenda that was to serve the people of Toronto. This mayor is interested in enriching his friends, enriching his own company. We've already seen that. He took business cards that every city councillor has produced and mayor has produced, and he took that business to his own company. He paid his own company from public funds to produce business cards. When he was caught, he paid back the city. But if he hadn't been caught, would he have paid back the city? I highly doubt it. He has taken a decision with his friend Case Otis to sell off 706 publicly owned buildings. These are homes under the TCHC, the Toronto Community Housing Corporation, and the mayor has successfully moved to sell those homes to the private sector, to developers and to business friends. The mayor has also recently, we just learned that TCHC has sold, I believe it's $3.5 million, a multi-million dollar coin laundry business that was operating as a business of the city, a non-profit business in TCHC buildings. That has been sold to a private company, or the city's interest has been sold to a private company, meaning that that service now is no longer controlled by the city. That is a service that has now been sold with no public tender. We just had an audit a little over a year ago where the city auditor made it quite clear, or less than a year ago, as a matter of fact, within the last 6 months or so, where the city auditor made it clear that the TCHC had been illegally offering big contracts without public tender, and that we had a huge scandal in the newspapers. We were informed that the city was going to ensure that TCHC followed its guidelines, legal guidelines, and now what do we have? But the same thing happens again, where without public tender, one business gets to privately profit off of formerly publicly owned assets. So this is not something that we can accept, folks, and it's something that we need to name very, very clearly every time we talk about this issue. This is not a spending problem. This is a revenue problem. This is a mayor who is taking revenue that is meant to serve the needs of the public and taking that revenue and diverting it to private business, to his own business in some cases, and out of the public sector. He is out to break unions. We know that he's in a public spat with unions. They've just declared that they want to cut over 2,000 jobs. Some of those jobs are currently vacant and they won't be renewed, but well over 1,000 of those jobs are current jobs that people are employed in. Often part-time, often project type of jobs, contract jobs, so they're not not jobs that are providing people with really good security. We need those jobs to be beefed up to full-time. We need people working in those jobs to have more security. These are also taxpayers, the people in these jobs. These are the people who keep the city going and running well, and these are the jobs of people who contribute to the city through their taxes, because when you have people having good paying jobs, of course they pay more taxes, they buy more, they contribute to the city. So this is a union busting move. This is a move that is designed to demoralize the public sector. It's designed to let the public sector know that this city council, or this mayor at least, is going to go to war with them. And that's what's been declared here. To give out these kinds of, to lay people off right before Christmas is particularly cruel, at a time when the bills just mount up and up and up. So, What can we do about this? Well, as we have been doing with the Toronto Stop the Cuts Network, with One Toronto, out of the Community Social Planning Council, we can fight back. You can become involved in the Toronto Stop the Cuts Network, and we'll put the website up on the screen so you can take a look and see how you can be involved in any one of a number of neighborhood organizing efforts. You can also speak to City Council on December 7th, and that's when City Council is going to be hearing deputations from the public, probably 3 or 4 minutes long at the most. You can sign up to speak to them. The earlier you sign up, the earlier you will speak, and we'll flash up that information about how you can contact the Budget Committee so that you can speak to them. Again, Wednesday, December 7th, you can write to them at Budget Committee, Toronto City Hall, 100 Queen Street West, 10th floor. The email is buc@toronto.ca. You can also sign up to speak and give them a call at 416-392-1032. Make sure to let them know no later than 4 p.m. on Tuesday, December 6th, that you want to speak. They'll set aside 2 days for people if we have enough people. We've had over 300 people speak to City Hall in the past. Let's make sure that they hear from more than that this time, loud and clear. Again, email buc@toronto.ca or call 416-392-1032 and sign up to speak to this destructive city budget. Let them know what you think. Let them know how important these programs and services are to you, and let them know that you will not stand, and your neighbors will not stand, and your community members will not stand to have Toronto turned into Toronto the Bad by this mayor and his right-wing cronies. We won't have that happen this year. We won't have it happen any year. Thanks.